called a dossier, the study dossier, where now everything is electronic copies. Now electronic copies of all the data are submitted to authorities, but previously it used to be in papers. Like the companies used to put these huge files in big trucks and they used to send it to the authorities, right? So, not have you seen this picture anytime?
No.
No, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So this is called as a CTD, the Common Technical Document. Okay. So this has also, the structure has also been defined by ICH. Okay. So why do you need such structure? The structure is, as we have seen, it's huge amount of data from phase preclinical to, that is non-clinical to clinical. It's a huge amount of data. Okay. So the data is arranged or published in this structure. It's called Common Technical Document Structure. So what does this include? Module 1.
Maximize the picture.
Oh, you're not able to see, is it?
Yeah, wordings are not.
Is this clear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the first part, module 1, is generally the administrative information, like, the addresses, names, and all those things. Okay. So the actual CTD, so we have done non-clinical, preclinical or non-clinical data. We have done those studies, right? So the overview of all the results of the preclinical studies, that is non-clinical studies, is provided here. Okay. And then the overview of, the overview, clinical summary of all the non-clinical summary is provided here. Okay. So these two boxes which you see here are related to non-clinical or preclinical studies. Okay. And these provide overviews and summaries, not the exact study information. That is, they combine the data from all the studies and provide provide the overview and summary here. Okay. And then these two boxes which you see, which is written as clinical overview and clinical summary. So here, what a writer, here also a writer is involved in drafting these clinical overview and summary. What the writer does here is, they try to combine data across all the phases of the studies and write an overview and then a summary. Okay, these are separate documents. And again, what should be written, how should be written, all of them is well defined in the ICH documents. Okay. So here, like in the left side, we have the quality summary. So this is related to the manufacturing process, how they have ensured that the manufacturing quality is maintained and all that. That is included here. Okay. So okay. So someone asked about the clinical study reports. Okay. So all the clinical study reports of the studies conducted will be part of module 5. Okay, these are called as module 5 clinical study reports. And then the non-clinical study reports are included in module 4. Okay? And then the quality reports are included in module 3. Okay, so just to recap, the clinical study reports, that is the document which actually provides the results of each and every clinical trial. Those are provided in module 5. The non-clinical study reports are provided in module 4, and the quality summaries, again here medical writers are not involved. They are called as, they are in a separate department. These are not medical writing deliverables, but those documents are provided in module 3. The overall overviews and summaries from non-clinical and clinical studies are provided in module 2. So medical writers are involved in the 3 boxes which are there towards the right side. Is this clear? Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So just to recap, we have looked at the 3 broad stages of drug development, which is preclinical stage, clinical trial stage, and we have looked until the approval stage. Okay, so what is to be submitted until the approval stage? Now, after approval stage, we have something called as post-approval stage, post-marketing stage. So here until approval stage, what have we done? We have tested our drugs in specific well-defined clinical trials, and we have demonstrated that it works. Now, based on that, the regulatory authority has given me licensure, right? Now, when after giving licensure, it doesn't mean my responsibility as a sponsor or as a company is over. I still have to monitor my drug when it is in the market to ensure that the benefits that my drug is providing outweigh the risks. Okay. So what do I mean by that?
And keep a track of the adverse drug reaction even after post market in the post marketing phase.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll have to ensure that see, in a trial I have a defined population, like I might have 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, or whatever in phase 3 study, but that still does not include the entire population, right? That may still not be representative. There might be that percentage of error in my sampling where I am not looking at the entire population. Okay, it might be possible that some people are showing the adverse reactions towards these drugs, right? So the post-marketing phase, the purpose of this phase to ensure that my drug continues to provide benefit to the patients and it has minimum risk or lesser risk compared to the benefits. Okay. So again, here, what should a medical writer do? Here we have a concept of aggregate reports such as periodic safety reports. Have you heard of this? PSURs and DSURs and all these. So there are set of documents that a medical writer is involved in developing in the post-approval phase as well.
Okay.
So here we have spoken we have spoken about different types of medical writing. Okay, so this slide basically gives a list of the medical writing deliverables. That is the documents on which a medical writer should be working on. Can you read what is there on the screen? So broadly, there are two types of medical writing deliverables. Okay, so the one which you see on the left side are called regulatory medical writing deliverables. Okay, and the set of documents which you see on these are medical communication, or kind of, they're more of scientific writing. It's called scientific writing in some companies, but more of medical communication deliverables. Okay. So someone was asking about investigator brochure, someone was asking about the clinical study report and all these, right? So this is more or less, these are the documents which are commonly written by medical writers. Okay, so all these documents come under the purview of regulatory medical writing. We have like these set of documents. Like first, we will look at the regulatory medical writing documents. Okay. Can you read what is there on the screen? Any guesses? What is the purpose of the investigator brochure is? So investigator brochure, the purpose is to provide information to the trial investigator. That is the doctor who's actually conducting the clinical trials in his hospital, in his or her hospital. The purpose is this document, investigator brochure, provides all the information that is available on that specific drug to the company. Okay, see, mind you, we do not have this drug in the market, so others will not know that information. Only that company will know the information on that specific drug. Okay, so it is communicated the entire, whatever is the information, right from preclinical to clinical stages, and about the safety and efficacy, everything, whatever has been identified until now, all that information is presented in a document called as investigator brochure. Okay. And this document is written based on E6 GCP. GCP is the document which defines what should be the content for investigators. Yes, there's a question.
No.
Is the IB until the approval stage, like as in phase 3 stage, or even runs into the PM post marketing?
See, investigator, if you are conducting a clinical trial, you will need an investigator's brochure. Okay, so whatever drug development stage is that specific molecule, you will need an investigator's brochure. Now, even in the post-market stage, if you're trying to study this drug for a separate indication, okay, even then you will need an investigator's brochure.
Okay, so that would be like an extension to the already existing investigational brochure.
Yes, this is kind of live document which keeps on getting updated. I think as per the regulations, it is required to be updated every year. Okay,
Okay.
based on the studies or new information available in that specific year, it needs to get updated. Okay.
Thank you.
So generally, like medical, like we most commonly the projects which we will get as a medical writers is the updating of investigators brochure rather than writing the first version of investigator brochures. Okay, because there was only going to be one first version, right? It's not going to be written from the scratch every single time,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So that's about the investigators brochure. And then the second document is clinical study protocol. Anyone who's heard about this document? Clinical study protocol.
Yeah, it's the base for CSR. They actually mention like how many people, I mean, how many subjects need to be there in every phase of the trial.
Hmm.
It might be a
It's like a
rules.
baseline. It's like a baseline to provide for the clinical trial.
Right. It's like a project plan for the clinical trial. It include see the audience for a clinical study protocol would be one, as you rightly mentioned, a CSR, a medical writer. Two, also the investigator and trial monitoring staff. And then you have ethics committees or IRBs. You must have heard of this, called ethics committees and all, which are required for clinical trials. Have you heard of them?
Yes, ma'am. Animal ethics committee and all those things like human ethics committee.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have there are and even the regulators. So before starting a clinical trial, companies have to take permission from the authorities if they can start clinical trial in humans. They cannot just start on their own. And on what basis will they seek the permission? Based on the clinical trial protocol, investigators brochure, and all these things, ethics committee approvals, and all these. Okay. So all these documents are required. The documents which are there in red, you see. So these are the documents which are required before the initiation of a clinical trial. Okay. So I said clinical study protocol. It's kind of a project plan. Okay, where you have study objectives, endpoints, study visits and milestones, everything. You know what should be conducted, how the trial should be conducted. All the information is provided in the clinical study protocol. Okay, and then the protocol is generally has an important component. It's called as clinical study synopsis. In some companies, medical writer is involved in developing this document. Okay, so it's called synopsis. As the name suggests, it's just a shorter version of a protocol, clinical study protocol. It also has all the information, but it doesn't have a vast description of how everything is done. It's just an abstract kind of thing. Okay, so after clinical study protocol, we have something called a statistical analysis plan. Okay, so again, as we discussed, statistics is an important component of any clinical research, even preclinical, clinical, or post-market research. And then this document is basically written by a statistician. Okay, but then medical writer is involved in reviewing it or providing inputs in this document, the statistical analysis plan. Okay, and this is based on ICH E9. Clinical study protocol and synopsis are also based on E6. Okay, and then we have something called as patient informed consent forms. Have you heard of informed consent forms?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
What do you think the informed consent forms do? What is the purpose of them?
Ma'am, they're provided to the volunteers who are involved in the clinical trials so that they are informed about what study or what drug is to be given to them.
Right. That's correct. So basically, this is written in a more lay, it's for the patients, right? It's not for the scientific audience or regulators or any of them. It is for the patients. So it is written more in a lay person language. Okay. And it basically explains what will be done with the patient. You cannot just like do whatever you want. You cannot give whatever you want. It has to be according to the protocol, and exactly you need to tell patient what will happen in each visit and what will they be doing, what tests they will be doing, and all this. Okay, so this is actually in short called ICF. You must have heard about it. And this document is also based on E6. Okay, so just to clarify, when I say E6, it is ICH GCP E6. So these set of documents in red, these are required before every clinical trial. Okay. Now these set of documents are required before starting a phase 1 trial, before starting a phase 2 trial, before starting a phase 3 trial. Am I clear? When I say in the beginning of the trial, I mean beginning of every trial of every phase. These set of documents are required.
So
for
it's
ex-
separately for phase 1, separately for phase 2, separately for phase 3, like that.
Yes. So this is trial specific, irrespective of the phase.
Okay.
So for example, for my drug, if I am doing a 1 phase 1 trial and 2 phase 2 trials, so in total, I will have three clinical study protocols, 1 for phase 1 and 2 for 2 phase 2 trials. Okay. So this is a document required for each and every trial, these documents. Does that clarify?
Yeah.
But investigator brochure is common for all phases.
It's common, but then it has to be updated with the newer data continuously. Like for example, when from phase 1 I have moved to phase 2 studies, it has to include information about that phase 1 study in this investigator brochure. It's a kind of live document. So the same brochure, you cannot include it in phase 1 and phase 2 studies. It has to be updated.
Yes, until unless there is an update, then it will be updated.
Yes. So, like, are we clear about the set of documents that is required before every trial initiation?